In this lecture video, I will be discussing the production management practices specifically for broilers. And when we talk about production management practices or production management, ito yung mga day-to-day technical activities that ensure broilers reach their genetic potential in terms of growth, feed efficiency, survivability, and of course, carcass quality. So integration siya ng nutrition, feeding, housing, health, monitoring, and very important, yung decision-making that we do in order to minimize yung mortality and to improve yung growth performance ng ating mga broilers. But before we discuss or we start discussing the specific production management practices, particularly the first one, which is brooding management, I want you to think about one very important question na ang tinatanong is, what is the quality of the chicks na bibilhin natin or that should arrive in the farm? Kasi production management ay hindi lang nagfo-focus doon sa pagbibigay ng feed, pagbibigay ng drinking water, hindi lang siya more on the housing, but it starts doon sa moment once your chicks are delivered. So kahit pa maganda yung management practices mo, well-ventilated ang housing, how expensive or how good quality your feed is, kung pangit naman yung quality ng chicks, wala ding mangyayari doon sa performance. So the performance of your chickens will always be compromised. So if you recall, our P is equal to G plus E, a basic formula in genetics. P, phenotype, G, genotype, E, environment. So the factors that affect the performance or the phenotype of any individual, whether that is chick, whether that's pig, whether that is crop, ay both the genetics and the environment or the management practices that we implement daily. So kahit magandang management practices mo, kung poor quality naman yung chick na bibilhan mo, hindi pa rin maganda yung kalalabasan. So the performance or the phenotype will always be affected. Kasi yung genetics or yung quality ng chicks provides the potential. Kumbaga, this is the starting point. So ano nga ba yung i-check natin when we are talking about chick quality? So when we assess the quality of the day-old chicks or quality of the chicks that arrive in our farm, of course, they have to be active and alert, no? They should have clear eyes, clean din yung kanilang beak, straight and clean beak, fluffy and dry, down, or yung kanilang feathers, well-heeled ang kanilang navel, strong ang kanilang legs, straight also, very important because that affects their walking performance. No pa? So kung walking performance and of course yung kanilang access to feed and water, no? And what else? Of course, very important din yung kanilang injury-free or wound-free na legs and feet. Okay? So bakit important na well-heeled ang navel? Because that decreases yung chance na magkaroon ng mortality. Kasi kung unhealed pa yung navel ng ating mga chicks, that provides an entry point for infection to happen. So once we assess yung kanyang chick quality, ang susunod na question is, ready na ba yung house na paglalagyan sa ating mga chicks? So that leads us to our next topic, house preparation before chick arrival. Okay? So brooding, yung brooding success does not start kapag nailagay na natin yung mga chicks doon sa brooding cage. Brooding success starts before the chicks actually arrive. That's usually at least 24 hours before they are placed in the brooding cages. So first, the house must be preheated and environmental conditions are stabilized. So hindi sapat na warm ang air temperature. Dapat yung litter material at saka yung flooring must also reach yung correct temperature. Kasi kung cold yung flooring, magkakaroon pa rin ng chilling yung mga chicks natin immediately after placement sa kanilang brooding cages. Kahit na na-set up mo na or na-switch on mo na yung um, yung brooding source. Okay? Second is the litter must be spread evenly at a depth of 2 to 4 centimeters. Kasi kung masyadong manipis, hindi siya makaka-absorb ng moisture. Kung naman masyadong thick, meaning to say, yung depth niya ay greater than 4 centimeters, ano ang mangyayari? Magkakatrap siya ng excessive heat and moisture. Number 3, feed and water must be available immediately upon arrival. So yung first few hours ng ating mga chicks ay critical for digestive tract development or gut development and also their immune function. So kung madedelay yung pagbibigay ng pagkain sa kanila, that can reduce their week 1 weight. No? Bababa yung hindi mo marireach yung target na body weight provided by performance standards. And that can affect their growth performance until sila ay maibenta. Number 4, you have to provide 23 hours of light during the first 7 days. So we have to extend or provide longer light duration. Hindi lang yung isi-switch on mo ng 2 hours or 3 hours during the night, but you have to provide 23 hours of light. Kasi yung longer duration of lighting encourages feed intake, water intake also. So para mas mabilis silang maka-adapt quickly to the new environment. No? Number 5, chicks should not travel more than 2 meters to access feed and water. Especially since they are still smaller in terms of body size. So konti lang din yung marireach nilang or kung konti lang din yung kanilang steps or length of steps bago nila ma-reach yung kanilang feeders at saka waters. So kung masyadong malayo yung distance ng feeder and water from each other, that also reduces yung kanilang early feed intake. And that is actually stressful to the chicks. And then, lastly, supplementary feeders and drinkers should be placed alongside the main system. And this is particular for larger scale farms. No? Kasi this encourages yung kanilang exploration also. And nare-reduce yung competition during the first few days. Once again, this is particular for larger scale farms. Pero kung backyard lang naman ang iyong farm, smallhold, wala ka ng main system. You already have your drinkers and feeders inside the cages. So itong mga practices na to, or yung housing preparation practices before chick arrival, ano yung aim? It provides early, or it aims to provide early feed and water intake. Kasi kung early yung kanilang intake of feed and water, mas mabilis mag-develop ang kanilang gut, mas strengthen yung kanilang immune function, mas mabilis yung kanilang growth performance na ma-reach, and that also affects their final body weight bago sila ipaibenta or bago makatay. So, very important yung brooding. Kasi this is already part, no? Or this is a prerequisite prior to brooding management. Okay, so these are the litter materials na pwede niyong pagpilian. We have sawdust, chopped straw, ano pa? Hardwood shavings, pwede rin yung paper or old newspaper ninyo. Sawdust also. Rice hulls and peanut hulls or yung pinagbalatan ng mani. Next is dumating na yung ating mga chicks. So we are already at the stage na ilalagay na natin yung chicks doon sa kanilang brooding cage. So upon placement or at placement of chicks in their respective brooding cage, we have to record yung kanilang body weight at arrival and assess yung chick condition, yung chick quality. Okay? Because we also have to assess yung kanilang uniformity and compare natin with breed standards. Na-meet ba yung weight dapat ng good quality chick at day old or at day 2, day 3, etc. And we also have to establish baseline for 7-day target weight. So that we know, for example, ay hindi na-reach yung average daily gain or yung week 3 weight or the final weight. Kasi yung starting weight nila, yung kanilang arrival weight ay hindi naman pala maganda. So, important that we also have to record their weight upon arrival. Next is we have to unload chicks and place them quickly, gently, and evenly onto paper in the brooding area. So gumagamit tayo ng paper cover during the first few days because chicks are visual feeders. Okay? And yung feeds scattered on paper ay mas mabilis nilang makita and mas mabilis din nilang tukain. Okay? So, kailangan ng paper cover para mas visible sa kanila. Kasi kung ilalagay mo lang doon sa kanilang flooring na may litter materials, maaaring maghalo yung litter material at saka yung feeds. And we do not want that. Okay, so yung paggamit ng paper cover prevents litter ingestion and promotes rapid early intake of feed. No? Then kapag naman na natutunan na ng ating mga chicks kung nasaan ang feeders at saka drinkers, pwede nang tanggalin yung kanilang paper cover, yung kanyang paper cover kung saan inispread natin yung feeds nila. Para magta-transition sila sa kanilang litter flooring. So para may purpose din yung kanilang litter material. Na ang purpose ng litter material is to of course, absorb yung moisture. Okay? And then next is leave the chicks to settle for 1 to 2 hours with access to feed and water. Then i-check natin yung temperature ng kanilang vents, i-check yung feed, kung naubos ba yung feed na binigay or maraming natira. Also the water and the house temperature. We also have to monitor that and humidity after 1 to 2 hours and i-adjust natin kung necessary. So kung konti yung kanilang feed intake, water intake, check natin ano yung problem. Maaaring masyadong mainit, they are not comfortable, doon sa temperature, housing temperature, yung humidity, we have to look into that. We have to assess that. Kasi mapapansin naman natin doon sa behavior ng ating mga chicks. So now, na-place na natin yung chicks sa kanilang brooding cage, we move to the most critical early stage, which is yung kanilang brooding stage. So when we talk of brooding, we provide additional or supplemental heat source to the chicks from day 0 or upon arrival hanggang sa ma-reach nila ang 14 days. Minsan ina-extend natin ang brooding period, especially if we see na yung mga chicks ay hindi pa nila kayang mag-survive without additional heat. Yun. So kung may na-extend pa yung 14 days, especially kapag yung season or yung season, yung weather ay masyadong mga malamig during cold months. So what is the objectives? Bakit natin ginagawa ang brooding? We want to ensure proper temperature and comfort for the chicks, encourage early intake, and for them to achieve uniform health and growth. Kasi at this stage, yung ating mga chicks ay hindi pa nila kaya mag-regulate ng their own body temperature efficiently. So ito yung mga pwedeng sources of heat for brooding. So number 1, we have gas brooders, electric heat sources, solid fuel heat sources, full house heating systems. And the most common na ginagamit ay yung incandescent bulb. So ang rule natin dito is 1 watt o 1 watt per chick. So kung halimbawa doon sa brooding cage mo, you have 10 chicks, provide 10 watts na incandescent bulb. Kung for example, your sa isang cage merong 20 chicks, then you provide bulbs na 20 watts or pwedeng dalawang 10 watts na incandescent bulb. There are also those who use infrared brooder lamps and there are also those who use yung mga kerosene, ganon. Next, we also have to follow the proper brooding temperature. So during the early days, 1 to 7 days, mainit or higher yung kanilang brooding temperature. That is 32.2 to 35 degrees Celsius. And we gradually reduce the temperature of the brooder as they age. Kasi unti-unti, they gradually adapt naman na doon sa temperature of the environment. Kaya na nilang i-regulate yung kanilang temperature. So hindi natin minamaintain yung 32 to 35 degrees Celsius kapag sila ay naka 2 weeks na, 3 weeks, and even before they are marketed. Kasi that would be stressful to them. So kapag improper yung temperature na doon sa kanilang brooding house, that reduces feed intake. That is a form of stress to them. And we can also have poor FCR sa ating mga chicks, and that would also lead to mortality. Next, we also have to monitor yung kanilang relative humidity. Okay? So hindi lang yung temperature ang ita-check. Well, we can determine naman kung na-maintain itong recommended temperature, correct? Through a thermometer. But the best indicator of correct temperature observed doon sa brooding house or doon sa brooder is their behavior, the behavior of the chicks. If, for example, nilalayuan nila yung heat source, that means masyadong mainit. Kung naman nilalapitan ang kanilang heat source, that means masyadong malamig. They need additional heat. Okay? So yun yung chick behavior, distribution ng mga chicks doon sa brooding cage. And kapag napansin natin yun, we have to do the measures in order to correct yung temperature. So kung masyadong mainit yung temperature doon sa brooding house, we provide more entry of air. Pwedeng itaas muna natin yung cover, yung tarpaulin covering the entire poultry house, broiler house. Or pwede ring itataas natin yung height of the brooder or height of the incandescent bulb, ilalayo natin sa mga chicks. Or kung masyadong malamig naman, kailangan nila ng additional heat, we have to cover or we have to concentrate the heat using a brooder guard. Or we can also lower yung height ng incandescent bulb. Okay? So, kailan dapat or how often should temperature and relative humidity monitored? Dapat at least twice daily. So, that's morning, afternoon, or morning, evening. So, we do that in the first 5 days. And kapag tapos na yung 5 days, we can do that daily naman afterwards. And as to relative humidity, we have to achieve a level of 60 to 70% for the first 3 days and above 50% for the remainder of the brooding period hanggang sila ay magka 10 days old. No? Ayaw natin ng mababa. Ayaw natin ng mababang relative humidity kasi with that, nagkakos sila ng na-experience nila ang dehydration. So when we talk of humidity, that pertains to the moisture in the air. Relative moisture content doon sa surrounding environment. So once again, ayaw natin ng mas mababa sa 50% yung relative humidity maintained. We can use naman a relative humidity tracker na ilagay doon sa ating farm. Okay? Kapag naman masyadong mataas yung relative humidity, masyado naman ng basa yung litter material and nagkakaroon ng, kapag basa ang litter material, basa yung manure, that increases ammonia levels. Kapag mataas ang ammonia levels doon sa broiler house or doon sa cage, that leads to respiratory distress. So, i-maintain dapat natin yun. Next is, how do we know na kumakain yung ating mga chicks? Kasi hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon na wala nang laman ng feeder, ibig sabihin, kumakain yung chick. So that's not the correct way to determine kung kumakain yung or hindi. Kasi maaaring nilalaro nila yung kanilang feeder, kaya wala nang laman. Kaya natapon yung mga feeds. So the best way to check kung kumakain sila or hindi is to do crop fill monitoring. Okay? So we do this to assess early feed and water intake during the first 24 hours after placement or after arrival. And how frequent do we do this? We do this 2 hours after placement, 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours. And then the very critical checkpoint is 24 hours or 1 day after they arrive. How do we do it? We do it by sampling 20 chicks lang. So hindi lahat ng chicks ay gagaw or ipo-perform yung crop field monitoring. So magsasample lang tayo ng 20 chicks doon sa 50 chicks or 100 chicks na meron kayo. And when we do that, we have to perform it gently. No? Gently palpate each crop of the chick. Dapat minimal lang ang handling stress na ipo-perform natin. Dapat ang crop palpation or yung monitor ng crop field ay mga 2 to 3 seconds lang per chick. Hindi yung piga-pigain mo yung chick. So we have to determine saan ba yung crop area. So once again, 2 to 3 seconds lang kada chick. Huwag masyadong patagalin yung crop field monitoring. Then after doing that per chick, immediately ilalagay natin doon sa kanilang brooding cage yung mga chicks. We do not isolate yung mga chicks. Walang strict restraint. Ano pa? Dapat, actually, that's a form of stress, pero gentle stress lang dapat or short-term stress lang dapat. Ano pa? Paano natin malalaman kung may feed and water intake? When we record a normal crop. No? So sa bawat chick na i-monitor natin, we have to write kung normal ba yung crop or hindi normal yung crop. So kapag normal yung crop, kung kumain siya ng sapat, uminom siya ng sapat, ito ang ma-observe natin. Full, cropped, and soft and rounded yung crop. Good intake yun of feed and water. Dapat soft. Pero kung full, tapos crumbly, mafe-feel mo pa, mapapalpate mo pa yung mga feeds na kinain, ibig sabihin nun, kumain siya pero hindi sapat yung tubig na ininom. Pero kung halimbawa, pinalpate mo pero empty, ibig sabihin nun, hindi siya kumain. Hindi niya nahanap yung feeder or masyadong malayo yung feeder at hindi rin siya uminom. Okay? So very important ang crop field monitoring. Once brooding, crop field monitoring ay stable na, ang susunod is feeding and nutrition. Okay? Provision of feed and water. So ang goal natin dito naman sa part na ito, sa practice na ito, we have to maximize early intake to support gut development, uniform growth, and optimal feed efficiency. So bakit natin tingnan ito ng maigi? Because we know that feed represents or accounts for about 60 to 70% of total production cost. So bawat mistake dito sa feeding natin will affect the profitability. Kasi kung marami kang binibigay na feeds or hindi gradual yung transition mo ng one feed to another, ano ang mangyayari? Papangit yung kanilang growth performance. Tataas yung feed conversion ratio mo, tataas yung feed cost per kilogram gain mo. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating provision of feed and water, ay hindi lang yung mismong pagbibigay ng feeds. Hindi sapat na pakainin mo sila. Okay? So, we have to perform yung tinatawag nating phase feeding. So, tinawag siyang phase feeding because we give feeds depending on the stage or phase of growth they are in. No? Kung sila ay 0 to 2 weeks old pa lang, we provide pre-starter or sometimes they call it chick booster. Pag sila ay 2 weeks na, hanggang 4 weeks, we provide starter feeds. And once they reach 28 days, we start giving them finisher feeds already hanggang sila ay maibenta. And yung amount of these feeds ay nag-i-increase habang sila ay lumalaki. So konti lang, 15% lang of the total feed they consume throughout their life ay galing sa pre-starter or chick booster. And then 35% starter feeds, and karamihan sa kanilang kakainin would be finisher feeds. Even if short lang yung duration ng pagbibigay mo ng finisher feeds. Okay? Majority ng i-consume nila or majority ng expenses mo would be coming from finisher feeds. Because at this point, heavy na yung kanilang body size and mas magaling na rin silang kumain. Mas madami silang consume even if shorter yung duration ng pagbibigay ng feeds. Even if shorter yung duration ng finisher stage. Okay? Ano pa? Very important din yung transition which we'll be discussing in a while. Let's proceed muna dito sa part na to. We have to ensure chicks travel less than or equal to 2 meters to feed. And you know the reason why. Dapat ay hindi sila ma-stress sa paghahanap ng kanilang pagkain. To encourage intake of feed. Next, we also have to adjust feeder height to bird back level. Dapat ka-level nung kanilang back or nung shoulders nila ang height ng feeders. Kasi kung masyadong mababa ang feeder, kung masyadong mataas ang feeder, mangyayari that would be stressful to them. So kahit na anumang management practice na i-implement natin, we have to always put in mind na ayaw nating ma-stress yung ating mga hayop or yung ating mga broilers. Usually kapag masyadong mababa ay pwedeng hindi nila ma-reach properly yung feeds or pwede ring nilalaro nila yung feeder. They walk on top of the feeder, so that leads to feed wastage. So added cost yun, no? And then I would like to go back to this, no? I would like to specify yung gradual transition of feeds. You learned that already in your earlier years, but I would like to emphasize yung gradual transition. Kailangan nating i-implement yung gradual transition of feeds kasi gusto nating maka-adapt muna yung kanilang gut or digestive tract to the new feed na ini-introduce natin. So, you know that usually 1 week yung feed transition. So, 2 days yung transition ng pre-starter to starter. 2 days din yung transition ng starter to finisher. Or sometimes, we can also adjust 3 days. 3 days from pre-starter to starter and then 3 days yung starter to finisher. Hindi yung kahapon, 100% puro pre-starter and then ngayon, puro starter. So we have to apply yung 75-25, 50-50, and then 25-75, and then full na yung feeds na ibibigay natin. Okay. Next, water management. How do we provide water? Okay, so ganun lang din. Same din na we have to adjust drinker height. No? Hindi masyadong mataas, hindi masyadong mababa. Not necessarily daily, but regularly. No? We have to observe yung kanilang growth. We have to observe yung kanilang behavior. Kasi hindi sapat na feed intake lang or feeding management lang ang pagfofokusan natin. You learned in your animal nutrition that water is the most important nutrient. Kasi 70% ng body composition or gross composition ay ng organism ay water. So mataas din yung kanilang requirement ng water. As much as possible, we have to monitor also yung water doon sa kanilang water. So wala siyang specific schedule. Like for example, magbibigay ka lang ng tubig 7 a.m. or magbibigay ka lang ng tubig mga 2 p.m. You have to monitor regularly. So water intake drives feed intake and growth. We have to provide clean, very important, fresh drinking water. Kasi kung they are not drinking well, hindi rin sila kakain ng maayos. They will not also consume their feeds well. And kapag hindi nila na-consume ng maayos or efficiently, yung feeds na kanilang nare-receive, mag-i-slow down din yung kanilang growth. Okay? What else? We also have to prevent litter wetness around drinkers. Kasi sometimes, kapag hindi hangin yung kanilang drinkers, kung nakalapat lang doon sa flooring nila yung kanilang drinkers, sometimes ay, um, tawag dito, nadudumihan nila yung drinkers or waterers or ganun din sa feeders, nadudumihan nila. Sometimes they walk on the feeder and drinker, so natatapon. And ayaw natin yun. We have to prevent litter material wetness or flooring wetness around drinkers. Kasi once again, kapag basa yung litter, basa yung flooring, basa yung manure, it increases the level of ammonia. And that causes respiratory distress. So yung pagbibigay natin ng drinking water ay hindi lang para doon sa cheek. Okay? We also have to look at the air quality, yung foot health, and yung quality ng quality of the litter material, quality of or yung flooring ng ating brooding cage. Or hindi lang during the brooding i-monitor ito actually. Even after brooding, throughout the entire production cycle. Ganun din sa feeding management, throughout the brooding or throughout the production cycle sila i-monitor. Hindi lang once a week, twice a week. It should be regularly. So now that we understood na yung feeding and water management, we have to connect now itong mga dinidiscuss natin to how birds grow over time. So ito yung minimension ko earlier na performance standards. Okay? Performance standards or strain guides na binibigay ng mga feed companies. So for this case, ito ay yung performance standards of Cab 1-3. So usually this is in particular for Cab 500 broilers, no? So sabi dito, so meron tayong data on weight. So ito dapat daw yung weight nila kapag um, na-reach yung 28 days, na-reach yung 7 days, na-reach yung 14 days, etc. So meron siyang weight standard. Ito dapat yung weight niya at this age. Ganoon din, ito dapat yung daily gain niya at this stage. Ito dapat yung average daily gain niya at this age. Ito dapat yung FCR. Ito dapat yung consume niya at this age. Ito yung performance standards. Ito yung target. So, very important, yung sinabi ko earlier na we have to record yung kanilang weight at placement or upon arrival. Because that speaks so much doon sa kanilang magiging weight at day 7, at day 14, at day 21, and at market. So hindi okay na saka ka lang mag-a-adjust ng feed provision pag after brooding. Kung ano yung kanilang performance at the earlier stage affects their performance after brooding. So dapat at earlier stage or at brooding ay maganda na yung performance nila. Kasi hindi ka na pwedeng mag-adjust after brooding. Hindi siya ganon. Next, I tried to graph or create a graph, particularly yung kanilang daily gain, average daily gain, and feed intake. Like, I would like to compare kung ano yung point kung saan nag-gain pa sila while you give feeds, additional feeds. No? Kasi pinapakain mo naman sila as long as the chicks or as long as the chickens stay in your farm. Pero the question is, are you benefiting? Nag-gain pa rin ba ng weight yung mga manok mo or gumagastos ka lang? So I did a graph using the data on the previous slide and this is what I saw. During the early stage, from day 1 hanggang sila ay mga day 14, makikita natin na yung kanilang daily gain increases rapidly. Mabilis yung kanilang growth. Mabilis yung kanilang pag-increase ng weight. Pero, yung kanilang feed intake ay relatively slow. Kasi syempre, they are still smaller in terms of body size, they are still young. And then from day 14 at to about 35 days, ito na yung kanilang grower phase or yung kanilang phase 2. daily gain ay increases rapidly. Mas mabilis na yung pag-increase or pag-gain nila ng weight. And at this point, dito, nagko-convert ng yung mga broilers natin ng feeds most efficiently. And then at around 34 days, so kung makikita ninyo, mga 34 days, ito, yan. Kung saan yung peak, mga 34, 35 days old, yan yung peak ng kanilang daily gain. Okay? Ibig sabihin, pag yan yung peak, yung next, yung mga sumunod na days na ay, pababa na yung kanilang daily gain. Pababa na yung kanilang increase in weight, increase in growth. So that means na kahit pa patuloy kang nagbibigay ng feeds, actually that's finisher phase, no? Kahit pa nagbibigay ka ng feeds daily or continuously, hindi ka na masyadong nagbe-benefit sa kanilang gain. So we have to monitor that. Kasi at this point, mas mabilis na silang kumain eh. Pero yung kanilang weight gain ay nag-i-start ng mag-plateau or maging flat. And at some point, magdi-decrease din or magka-curve din pababa. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung kanilang kinakain na feeds ay hindi na for growth, but for maintenance na. Meaning ng maintenance is for them to properly function. No, maintenance, daily maintenance na, rather than contributing to increasing muscle or increasing growth, increasing performance. Kaya at this stage, 35 days and above and beyond, mag-worsen or papangit yung kanilang feed conversion ratio. Meaning to say, konti lang yung muscle na i-gain nila versus doon sa feed na ibibigay mo at finisher stage. Okay? So this is not only applicable, so ito yung graph na also applicable to other species, no? Ang difference lang is of course yung age, kung kailan nangyayari yung pag-peak ng daily gain and pagbaba ng kanilang or pag-slow down ng kanilang growth performance. But basically, the structure of the curve ay the same for all species. Next, we move on to housing and environmental control. When we talk of housing management, yung housing dapat na i-establish natin must provide thermal comfort, good air quality, and uniform environmental conditions to maximize their genetic potential. Kasi hindi lang tayo dapat mag-focus doon sa feeding. Kahit na 60 to 70% of the total production cost ay galing sa feed, kung pangit naman yung kanilang environment, pangit naman yung air quality doon sa kanilang environment, papangit din yung kanilang performance. Okay, so ang specific management na titingnan natin or yung mga management actions natin, particularly for small-scale broiler farms, ay yung temperature, natural ventilation and air quality, litter and moisture control, stocking density and space management, at saka lighting. So I specified or emphasized na ito ay for small-scale broiler farms because sa commercial or large-scale farms ay ito, tunnel ventilated sila. So they have specific equipment to monitor properly itong mga ito. So sa small scale kasi walang specific equipment. Wala silang sineset na ito dapat yung temperature from days A to Z. Or ito dapat yung air quality from days A to Z sa small-scale broiler farms. No? Now, I have here terms like stocking density. And when we talk of stocking density, yun yung amount of space allocated kada bird inside the poultry house. So usually express yung stocking density like birds per square meter. So kada square meter or kada area, ilang birds ang ma-accommodate. Sometimes there are references that use kilograms of live weight per square meter. So nakafocus naman sila sa body weight instead doon sa number of birds. But whichever unit you will be using still this is stacking density. Gano'ng kalawak na space ang allocated kada bird doon sa poultry house. Kasi kung masyadong masikip ang space, that is overcrowding na yon, no? So kung mataas ang stocking density doon sa housing mo or sa cage mo, that leads to overcrowding. Kung naman masyadong mababa ang stocking density, na-underutilize mo yung space na or yung cage na ginamit, no? Ano pa? How do we monitor the temperature? We already covered that in the previous slides. How do we monitor yung ventilation? So kung very enclosed, no, fully closed yung housing, magkakaroon ng ammonia buildup. So we have to allow air to naturally flow din doon sa housing natin. So yung enclosed housing lang ay kapag sa large scale farms, kapag sila ay tunnel ventilated. Pero kung small scale, we have to look into the natural ventilation and air quality. Ayaw natin ng fully closed na housing kasi magkakaroon ng ammonia buildup. And we know what ammonia buildup means. Ibig sabihin, magkakaroon ng respiratory distress sa ating mga manok. So hindi mo dapat i-ignore yung smell ng ammonia doon sa loob ng housing or doon sa farm. Litter and moisture control naman. So what do we look at kapag we want to control or monitor yung litter and moisture? We have to look at gaano kakapal ang litter material doon sa cage. Ayaw natin ng masyadong manipis, ayaw din natin ng masyadong makapal. So kung manipis kasi ang litter material, hindi siya makaka-absorb ng maayos ng moisture. Hindi siya makaka-absorb or hindi siya makakapag-provide ng warmth doon sa ating mga manok. Okay? Ano pa? Lighting also, we have to look into that kasi when we switch on the light, we encourage feed intake and water intake sa ating mga manok. So kapag naka-switch off kasi ang lighting, that means they have to rest na yung ating mga manok. When they have to rest, hindi sila kakain. Hindi rin sila, hindi sila kakain or basically, they just stay doon sa kanilang areas. Next is health management. Let's talk about health management. And this focuses on disease prevention rather than treatment. So alam natin yung principle na health is wealth and prevention is better than cure. No? Doon dapat tayo mag-focus, hindi yung sa treatment. Kasi kung treatment na, that means may sakit na yung ating mga manok. No? And mas mahirap yung case na yun because that affects their performance. So kung may sakit yung hayop, magkakaroon ng loss of appetite. Kung magkakaroon ng loss of appetite, bababa yung growth performance nila. So the components of our health management are the following: vaccination program, and then monitoring and early detection, hygiene and sanitation, and also mortality disposal. So we have, pag sinabi nating vaccination program, we have to follow yung recommended vaccination schedules. No? Hindi yung kung kailan lang natin maisip mag-vaccinate, ay doon na. And sometimes, kapag bibili tayo ng broiler chicks, may mga farms na nababakunahan na bago nila ibenta yung mga chicks. Next, monitoring and early detection. So dito, at this point, we have to perform daily observation. Na-observe natin yung behavior ng ating mga manok. Observe natin kung may mga chicks ba na in-isolate yung kanilang sarili, hindi masyadong kumakain, or hindi masyadong umiinom, or weak, sickly, yung kanilang itsura, etc. We have to monitor the chicks. Not only that, we have to monitor yung surroundings. We have to monitor the feed. Doon sa feeder, we have to monitor the water level, etc. Next, hygiene and sanitation. We have to ensure naman yung clean feeders, clean drinkers, No? Hindi yung once a week mo nililinisan yung feeder or once a week mo nililinisan yung drinkers. Hindi. Dapat we have to make sure na clean ang equipment na gagamitin natin, yung facilities na gagamitin. No. Next also, hygiene and sanitation also covers yung gaano kalinis yung housing mo. Especially kapag how do you collect manure also? Once a week ka lang ba nagko-collect ng manure? How do you dispose yung manure? So dapat walang masyadong manure doon sa baba ng cages. Kasi that harbors diseases, that harbors flies also, lalong-lalo na kung walang screen na nakapalibot doon sa housing. Okay? And then, proper mortality disposal, dapat yung mga dead birds or dead chicks must be removed immediately and disposed of correctly. Now, how do we properly dispose yung mga dead birds natin? So we bury them. Hindi yung ilalagay lang sa basurahan, open. No, it should be buried para hindi dadapo yung mga langaw. Next, biosecurity. So biosecurity, when we talk of biosecurity, ito yung mga measures that we do to prevent disease entry and spread sa ating farm. So ito yung mga components ng biosecurity measures na we need to implement. Number one is farm access control. Hindi yung kung sino-sino yung pwedeng pumasok doon sa poultry house. No? Hindi lang tao but also other animals. We do not allow other animals to enter the poultry house. Kasi they could be vectors. No? Next, vehicle and equipment control. Dapat yung mga vehicles na nagde-deliver ng chicks, nagde-deliver ng feeds, medicines, etc. Kailangang ma-disinfect. No? Also, equipment. Dapat yung mga drinkers, feeders, lahat, equipment na gagamitin natin na pag yung mga tabo na gagamitin or yung mga the facilities that we use to provide feeds sa kanilang feeders, those also should be disinfected. Ayaw natin na yung equipment na ginamit natin sa babuyan ay siya ding equipment na gagamitin natin sa broiler house kasi maaaring magkaroon ng cross-contamination. So hindi lang yung mga equipment, facilities, but also yung clothing na ginamit natin sa babuyan, mga footwear na ginamit natin sa babuyan, ay hindi pwedeng gamitin sa poultry house or broiler house ninyo. Another is, we have to have foot bath. So hindi ko nalagay dito but we have to have foot baths or pill baths at entry points. So kailangan ma-maintain yun. Maaring meron kang foot bath pero wala namang laman na disinfectant. So mali pa rin yun. So if you have foot baths, make sure that they are not empty. They should be not empty. Okay? And then we also have to regularly replace yung foot bath. Baka yung foot bath or yung disinfectant nilalagay mo at the start of the production cycle ay ganun pa rin yung laman hanggang sa ibenta mo yung mga chicks. So hindi siya proper. Next, all-in, all-out system. For the case of small-scale broiler farms, this is usually done. Kasi konti lang naman yung manok or number of chickens na alagaan. We do not want to mix different age groups kasi yung mga younger birds ay highly vulnerable to diseases. Next, pest and vector control. Ibig sabihin nun, yung mga possibilities na may mga instances na kung saan may mga rodents dun sa loob ng housing or wild birds also napapasok. Those could be disease carriers, silent disease carriers. So we have to make sure na we implement pest and vector control. We do not leave the housing open. We do not leave the cage open to other visitors. And then zoning concept, when you talk of zoning concept, dapat we separate. We separate yung broiler house from the piggery. Hindi dapat magkadikit. Hindi yung 3 steps lang away or 5 steps away lang from the broiler house or from the poultry house ay nandun na yung piggery natin. So we have to ensure na there is a clear separation or a clear distance between the broiler house and other farms. No? You learned that already in your poultry, yung topic natin na poultry farm, how distant should be one farm from another farm. Yun. We want to reduce yung disease entry. We want to prevent actually disease entry and spread. That's why we are doing strict or we are implementing strict biosecurity measures. Kasi if we implement strictly or we observe strictly yung biosecurity measures, there's a lower chance na magkakasakit yung ating mga manok. Okay? So, na-cover na natin yung feeding management, water management, housing, health, biosecurity. The next question is, how does a manager bring all of these practices together daily? So, dito papasok yung tinatawag natin how professional managers think every single day. So, ito yung manager's daily decision flow. So, once again, daily decision flow siya. So it follows a flow actually, hindi lang random. Hindi yung nag-i-start siya sa measure, hindi nag-i-start sa decide and correct, but it starts with observation. So basically, the manager should observe. So ano yung observe niya? So once he or she enters the poultry house in the morning, i-observe niya yung bird distribution, yung behavior of the birds, evenly spread ba sila, crowding, meron bang crowding, hinihingal ba, check mo din yung feed and water, baka baka hindi naman sila kumakain or umiinom or pwede ring ubos na yung feeder or yung feeds and water doon sa feeder and water respectively. You also have to check or observe yung litter material, litter condition. You have to check baka may sakit. Check mo rin kung may namatay, check mortality, observe lahat ng mga iyon. So hindi lang ang i-observe ay yung feed and water. Because sometimes nagpo-focus lang yung farmer doon sa feed and water. We have to observe all areas. No? And then next is measure. So when we talk of measure, we have to record measurements. Record measurements mean record natin yung numbers. Like for example, i-record natin yung daily morbidity kung meron. When we talk of morbidity, yung mga incidents ng may sakit. May weekly meaning pag sinabi kong weekly, I'm referring to WEAKLY. Sickly, I'm referring to sickly birds, ganon. Ano pa yung kailangang i-record? Mortality. If there are cases of mortality, we also have to record yung feed intake. So, i-weigh din natin yung feed consumption ng ating mga manok. We also have to record water intake also. We have to weigh birds weekly, but yung weighing of birds is done weekly, hindi siya daily because that would be stressful to them. So, i-record natin yung mga observations or record natin yung mga measurements na yon or yung mga numbers na yon to compare it with the performance standards na present ko sa earlier slides. And then, third is analyze. I-analyze natin if are we below the target weight. Like for example, day 7, 250 grams na dapat ang manok, pero yung weight ng manok mo ay 200 grams lang. Yun. So we have to compare yung na-record natin doon sa performance standards given by Cabvantres or pwede ring Aviagen. Ano pa? Yung FCR ba ay pangit? Pangit ba yung feed conversion nila? Analyze natin, mataas ba masyado ang incidence ng morbidity? Analyze natin, mataas ba masyado yung incidence ng mortality? Yung mga yon. And then, we have to decide and correct. Especially if malayo sa standards ang mga na-record natin. We have to decide and correct. Halimbawa, kung napapansin natin hinihingal sila, we adjust yung ventilation. Kung napapansin natin mababa yung water intake nila at fix natin yung mga drinkers. Baka masyadong mataas naman yung drinkers, yung height ng drinkers. O, check na din natin yung feed quality. Baka mababa yung, or dahil mababa yung feed intake nila, baka dahil pangit yung feed quality. Marami na palang manure or nagmo-molds na pala ang feeders. At saka yung water na nilagay natin. Yan. So we have to decide and correct kung ano man yung nagkukos doon sa values or measurements natin. And then fifth, we have to evaluate impact. Sabihin, these are the questions that we should ask is, nag-improve ba yung intake, yung feed intake? Nag-stabilize ba? So after correcting, kung ano man yung mali, evaluate natin. After, nag-improve ba yung feed intake? Nag-improve ba yung water intake? Nag-stabilize ba yung mortality? Bumaba na ba yung incidence ng morbidity? Etc. So doing all this, from observe, measure, analyze, decide, and correct, and then evaluating impact, ito yung daily decision flow of a manager, of a professional manager. Okay? So ito yung tinatawag nating management, no? Now, before we market, di ba, i-check din natin yung ating mga manok. So hindi ibig sabihin na na-reach na ang 35 days or 30 days ay pwede nang ibenta. We are looking actually at two things. Yung market, yung age nila, and their biological assessment. No? Na-reach ba yung target na weight at that age? Baka 35 days old na sila pero 800 grams pa lang. So hindi pa sila pwedeng ibenta. Or pwede nang ibenta, kaya lang, pwede nang ibenta kasi wala na palang idadagdag yung weight nila even after 40 days or 45 days. And once again, at this point, hindi na siya makakorek. So kaya, importante yung kanilang earlier stage of growth. No? So ito yung biological assessment natin na tawag natin. So what do we usually observe at this point? We look at specific things like their eyes. Clear and bright ba yung eyes nila? Their skin should be unblemished, walang scratches, dapat hindi haggard. We also have to look at the feathering. Clean and smooth ba yung feathering? Yan yung sinasabi ko, dapat hindi rough feathers, hindi dapat haggard. Yung legs nila should be strong. Hocks should be clean with no irritation marks. Dapat hindi wounded. Kasi kung makikita mong wounded yung kanilang feet, yung legs nila, that means pangit yung litter material, pangit yung flooring ng cages mo. Ano pa? Their crop should be full and soft. Full and soft para, so it reflects na kumakain sila. It reflects na umiinom sila. Okay? And then, ano pa? Behavior, their behavior also, are they active? Are they alert? The beak and tongue also, they should have no nasal discharge or feed sticking to beak. So may nasal discharge, ibig sabihin, there's respiratory distress. So wala dapat signs of tongue discoloration or mouth lesions sa ating mga manok. Breast should be unblemished with no blisters. So nangyari din yung breast blisters, especially if pangit yung flooring ng cages natin. So these are among the bird assessment areas na chine-check natin bago ibenta yung ating mga manok. Okay? So kung meron tayong assessment at chick stage, meron ding assessment prior to market. No? So hindi enough na na-reach yung market age. And then, so ito ay more on the quality, more on the physical appearance of our birds. We also have to look into the numbers, no? We also have to look into the weight, weekly weight, so more on quantitative data ito. So yung tinatawag, that leads us to our next topic, which is on performance evaluation and growth indicators. So when we talk performance evaluation, that determines whether the birds are meeting yung standards, performance standards, and economic targets. So merong 3 categories, general categories of performance evaluation standards or indicators or growth indicators. Number 1 is biological performance indicators. Ito yung weight na na-measure natin. That could be weekly weight, final weight, then gain in weight also, your total gain in weight, average daily gain, feed intake, FCR, livability or survivability, and uniformity. Another is integrated performance indicator, that is your production efficiency factor. And then lastly, we have economic indicators that includes your gross revenue or gross sales, total feed cost per kilogram gain, total production cost, return above feed cost, and net income. So that means we have to compute to evaluate the performance. Let's first review the biological performance indicators, no? So ang mini-measure naman nito ay yung technical performance ng ating mga manok. So pag sinabi nating final body weight, we are referring to the weight of the birds at market age. We are referring to the live weight, no? Pag ibebenta na sila. So the formula is, we can do it by i-weigh natin lahat. I-weigh minsanan yung mga birds, especially kung meron kayong available na weighing scale na pwedeng ma-weigh lahat ng mga birds. And then you just divide it by the number of birds that you weighed. Not necessarily isa-isang manok na i-weigh. Ha? Kung meron kayong weighing scale na kayang i-weigh lahat yung 10 na manok, do it. And then later on, just divide the total live weight by the number of birds. Okay, next is total weight gain. So this is the total body weight gain per bird during production. Okay? Ang formula niyan is ima-minus lang natin ang initial body weight or yung kanilang weight upon arrival from the final weight na na-record natin. Because this determines, so we need this record to determine kung how much did the birds grow. And then average daily gain, this is the average weight gained per bird per day. No, kaya sa daily during the production cycle. So the formula for that is we just use the total weight gain and then divide it by the number of days na inalagaan ninyo sila. So yung total weight gain, sinasagot yung tanong na how much did they grow? Yung ADG naman, ang sinasagot na tanong is how fast are they growing? So it represents growth rate. Gaano sila kabilis bumigat or gaano sila kabilis lumaki. Next, feed intake. This is the average amount of feed consumed per bird during a specific period. No? Specific period na sinasabi dito is throughout the production cycle. From the start na binili mo sila hanggang sila ay maibenta. So the formula for this is yung total na consume ng lahat ng mga manok divided by the number of birds na binigyan mo ng feeds. Yun siya. Kasi hindi naman isang bird kada cage, right? So you can have many birds per cage. For example, 10 birds, 20 birds per cage, and then you get the total feed consumption divided by the number of birds doon sa cage na yon. That's feed intake or total feed intake. Next, feed conversion ratio. We already know this. This is the amount of feed required to produce 1 unit of body weight gain. And what we want is the lower FCR, the better. Okay, so ang formula niyan is total feed intake divided by the total weight gain. So this is unitless because we cancel out both the unit of measurement in the numerator and in the denominator. So ang sinasagutan naman nito na question is, how efficiently are the birds converting the feed? So kung mas mababa, ibig sabihin, konti lang yung kailangan mong ibigay na feeds para sila ay mag-gain ng weight. Okay? Mas efficient sila. And the next, mortality rate. This is the percentage of birds that died during the production cycle. So basic division lang ito, number of died birds divided by the initial number of birds, and then we multiply it by 100 because we express it in percentage. And then livability naman, mortality by the way, ang livability opposite ng mortality. So we just subtract the mortality rate from 100%. That's also already equivalent to livability or survivability. Okay? And then for uniformity naman, percentage of birds within the plus or minus 10% of the average body weight. So how uniform or how even is the flock? No? Sometimes we do not record this. Minsan na-underestimate ito. Pero dito, sa number na ito, dito sa indicator na uniformity, reflects yung revenue na magigain mo. Kasi maaring mataas yung na-compute mo na weight gain, mataas yung na-compute mo na body weight, pero extremes pala. Meaning to say, meron kang mga larger size na broilers, tapos meron kang 2 or 3 na maliliit na broilers. Stunted yung kanilang growth. So, pangit pa rin. Okay? So, yung uniformity or poor uniformity affects yung weight of the processed birds and of course affects your revenue. Okay? So, to integrate itong mga biological indicators into one value, we use something called PEF or EPAF, European Production Efficiency Factor. So ito ay isang composite index integrating livability or survivability, body weight, age ng mga manok, and FCR to evaluate overall flock efficiency. Okay? So ang formula niyan is we have livability times live weight in the numerator. Take note of the units used, divided by the age times FCR. No? And then we multiply it by 100. So the higher the value, the better is yung technical performance ng ating mga manok. Okay? So meron tayo ditong example, age 35 days, live weight 2.296 kilograms. Ang livability or survivability is 97.2 and then FCR is 1.399. We plug in the values doon sa formula. We get a result of 456. And then we have another example, 45 days yung kanilang age, meaning to say 45 days ang market age, and then yung live weight na record nila is masyadong mataas, 3.295 kilograms. Livability, 96, meaning to say mas mababa yung survival na record dito sa second example. And then FCR is higher also, 1.606. We already know na mas poor yung performance nitong second example na to. So, we plug in the values again, we get a result of 440. So, notice the difference. Lower yung value ng PEF sa second example. That means poorer yung performance, technical performance of this second example. Next, we move or evaluate economics. So, by computing economic indicators. No? First, we have gross revenue. So, magkano ang kinita or magkano ang nagbentahan? It's the total income generated from the sale of live birds. So, hindi pa dito nade-deduct ang cost of production. So, basic formula, total live weight times market price per kilogram. And then we have total feed cost. This is actually the biggest expense, 60 to 70% of the total production cost. So kung mini-measure natin or nire-record natin ang total feed cost, apart from the total production cost, so i-compute lang natin ito by multiplying yung total feed consumption nila times the feed cost per kilogram of feed na binigay natin. And then feed cost per kilogram gain, this is the cost efficiency indicator. Ibig sabihin, it's the cost of feed required to produce a kilogram of weight gain. So the formula is FCR times cost per kilogram of feed consumed. And then total production cost. So this is the sum of all inputs used in the production. So ang kasama dito ay yung feed cost, chick cost, labor, yung pinangsweldo. So kahit pa kayo yung mag-aalaga, you have to dapat mag-alat din kayo ng cost. You have to also use yung wage rate prevailing doon sa inyong area. kung saan kayo nag-alaga ng manok. And then utilities, that means you also have to include yung electric bills at saka water bills, no? And other costs also incurred, like for example, bumili kayo ng medicines, vitamins, etc. Yung other costs also include yung inyong housing. Pero sometimes, yung housing naman ay hindi pa nasisira after one production cycle. So what we usually include ay yung depreciation cost. Next, return above feed cost or your RAFC. This is the profit remaining after deducting the major cost or major expense from your gross revenue. So the formula is just simple. We deduct feed cost from the gross sales or gross revenue. And the net income, this is the total profit after deducting all production costs. So formula is total revenue minus total production cost. So hindi lang dapat yung growth performance at titingnan natin. We also have to look into economics, no? So to bring everything together na present, let's apply this to the real scenario, no? We have here a guided sample problem. So a small scale farm raised 1,000 broilers for 35 days, and this is the given data. Initial chicks, of course, 1,000. May 50 birds na namatay. Initial body weight na na-record is 42 grams. Final average live weight is 2.2 kilograms. Total feed consumed is 3,600 kilograms. Age at harvest is 35 days. And then 780 birds were within plus minus 10% of the average body weight. So this reflects the uniformity of the chicks. And then ito yung mga nagastos. Chick cost is 45 pesos per chick. Labor cost is 15,000. So pinangsweldo sa mga workers. Utilities and miscellaneous, 10,000 pesos. Feed cost, 32 pesos per kilogram. And then the market price is 170 pesos per kilogram live weight. Okay. So what we do now is, of course, is ano ba yung kailangang i-solve? Well, we have to solve yung mga indicators na i-present ko earlier. So we have how many are surviving? So survivability, number of surviving birds. And then we also have to compute the percent livability, the total weight gain per bird, average daily gain or your ADG, FCR, feed conversion ratio, uniformity in percent, and then the production efficiency factor. And then we also have to compute or evaluate economics, total live weight produced or total kilogram live weight produced, the gross revenue or gross sales, total feed cost, total production cost, net income, feed cost per kilogram gain, and return above feed cost. So first, let's compute. So for surviving birds, we just deduct the number of birds that died from the initial chick population. So 1,000 birds minus 50 birds is equal to 950 birds. So, dito lang tayo magkakaroon ng profit, no? 950 birds. And we want the higher value. Next is livability in percent. We just use the formula, surviving birds, number of surviving birds divided by the initial chicks times 100. That is 950 divided by 1,000 times 100 equals 95%. So that's decent already, no? Kasi mataas na yung 95% na livability. So kung mataas ang livability, that reflects good management. Next, number 3, total weight gain per bird. We just subtract the initial weight from the final weight. So 2.2 kilograms ang weight nila at the end or at market. And then we multiply it by 1,000 grams to express it in grams, minus 42 grams the initial weight. So that's equivalent to 2,158 grams. Yan yung kanilang nag-gain na weight. And then average daily gain, divide this 2,158 grams by 35 days na inalagaan mo sila. That's about 61.7 grams per day. Very important yung unit ha. Sa ADG, the unit is gram per day. Ito yung ibinibigat nila araw-araw. This is their growth rate. So this is an acceptable growth rate. But you also have to compare it with the performance standards. Next, we compute the FCR. So FCR uses yung values na total feed intake and total weight gain. And we just divide the two. So ang kanilang total feed intake ay 3,600 kilograms of feed. Meaning to say, yung 1,000 chicks or 1,000 chickens ay nakapag-consume ng 3,600 kilograms of feed. And then we divide it by the total flock weight gain. So, big sabihin, we have to get itong 2,000, itong flock weight gain, we have to multiply yung total weight gain times the number of birds that survived. So 2.158 kilograms times 950 birds, that's equivalent to 2,050.1 kilogram gain. And then we multiply it with we use it as a divisor to to total feed intake, that's equivalent to 1.76. So that is their feed conversion ratio. 1.76 is actually more decent na, no? There are farms that compute 2 na FCR. So for this case, okay na or acceptable yung 1.76. Next, uniformity in percent. So we just divide the number of birds within plus minus 10% of mean body weight. Ang ibig sabihin ng birds within plus minus 10% of mean body weight is, paano yan makukuha? So dito sa case na to is given siya. But in your case, for example, hindi nyo alam o hindi na-record, kasi dito straightforward yung 780 birds. So ibig sabihin yan, ilang birds ang nagpo-fall 10% or minus 10% from the mean body weight. So halimbawa, mean body weight is 1.5 kilograms. 1.5 kilograms. And then, 10% of 1.5 is, 10% of 1.5, i-compute mo yan. So, minus something, magma-minus ka ng 10% from the 1.5 kilograms, ilan ang birds falling within that range. And then, ilan din ang birds falling within the range na 10% plus the mean body weight. So 10% na mas magaan doon sa mean body weight and 10% heavier than the mean body weight. Yun yung bibilangin mo na birds. Okay? And then we have to divide it by the total birds na winay natin. Of course, that's 950. So 780 divided by 950 times 100 is 82%. 82.1% ang uniformity. So hindi naman siya perfect. Ibig sabihin, meron pa ring 18% na masyadong malayo. Kumbaga outliers sila. Pero still, this is acceptable. So yung mga commercial farms natin, ang ina-accept nila na range is 85 to 90%. So because they are commercial farms, no? High-tech yung kanilang equipment and they have tawag dito, facilities. Kaya mataas yung kanilang standard, 85 to 90%. But for this case, 1,000 birds, 82% is acceptable. And then next, we integrate their biological performance. So we compute PEF, production efficiency factor. This is the formula, so we just plug in the values from the given data. Ang na-compute natin is 339. So moderate technical performance na ito. Because from our previous example, 400 something yung na-compute. So dito, 339. So the flock, well, biologically, the flock performed fairly well naman na. Okay? So, pero, yung biological performance nila, yung weight gain nila, FCR, feed intake, etc., does not guarantee profit. That is why we have to compute the economic indicators. Okay, so first we start with total live weight produced. Ilan ang nag-survive na birds times their final body weight or the average final body weight. So we just multiply the two. That's why we get 2,090 kilograms. Meaning to say, ito yung kabuuan, yung total live weight na ibinenta or na-produce. And then, to compute the gross revenue, of course, we have to multiply it by the prevailing price. So for this example, 170 pesos per kilogram live weight ang ginamit. So we multiply that by the total live weight produced. So we compute 355,300 pesos. Okay? So ito yung total income or total or gross income, gross sales generated by selling the birds, by selling the 950 birds. Next, total feed cost. Ang total feed intake is 3,000 kilograms and ang feed cost per kilogram is 32 pesos. So we just multiply the two. So the total feed cost is 115,200 pesos. So masyadong malaki. Okay, because of course, feed is always the largest component. And then we move on to total production cost. We add all the cost, feed cost, labor, utilities, etc. So ang feed cost natin is 115,200 plus chick cost is 45,000, right? And then 15,000 for labor and utilities 10,000 pesos. We add everything, we compute 185,200 pesos. Next, very important, net income. Kumita ba tayo? So we get the difference between the gross revenue, yung total ng pinagbentahan natin minus total production cost. So that is, meron ba tayong income or we earned or the farm earned 170,000 pesos. 170,100 pesos na profit. And then feed cost per kilogram gain, it's important to look into this kasi that reflects yung kung gaano sila ka-efficient, no? In converting the feeds na kanilang kinakain, gaano ka-efficient din sila ng doon in terms of sa economic na part. So FCR, we use the value of FCR, which is 1.76. We multiply it by the feed cost per kilogram of weight gain, per kilogram ng kanilang kinain. So we multiply that, that's 56.32 pesos. Ibig sabihin, we incurred or it costs or you paid, gumastos ka ng 56.32 pesos sa feeds para makapag-gain sila ng 1 kilo. Next, number 14, rough C, return above feed cost. That's equal to gross revenue minus feed cost. We just subtract. So 200, tama ba? 250, no, it should be 355,300 pesos kasi yan yung gross revenue. Please, I stand corrected. Please correct itong part na to. May I recompute? 355,300 minus 115,200 equals, this should be 240,100 pesos. Yun yung return above feed cost. And this tells us how much money remains after na binayaran natin ang feed. O at least meron pa, madami pa yung natira. So I stand corrected, this should be 353,300 minus 115,200 pesos. That's equal to 240,100 pesos. That's your ROCE. So as a summary, ito yung lahat ng mga na-compute natin na biological indicators. And then ito naman yung economic indicators that we computed. So my question is, kung mag-i-increase yung feed cost. So halimbawa, nagtaas ang presyo ng feed kasi because of the ongoing conflict, because of higher fuel prices, etc. So from original na 32 pesos, nag-increase into 35 pesos kada kilo. What happens to the net income? Siyempre, bababa din ang net income. Correct? Kasi mas gagastos ka. So if FCR or feed conversion ratio becomes poorer or if it worsens from, for example, original is 1.76, right? Naging 1.9, naging 2. What happens to the total feed cost? What happens to feed cost per kilogram gain? So, tataas ang feed cost per kilogram gain because you're required to provide more feeds pero konti lang yung kanilang kilogram na ibinibigat. Ano pa yung mga values na very important? Mortality also. So if mortality, mas maraming mamamatay, increases to 8%. So the original is 5%. So if it increases to 8%, what happens to the gross revenue? Siyempre, bababa ang gross revenue. Kasi konti lang yung birds or yung broiler chickens na ibebenta mo. So, ganon yung impact ng biological performance indicators dito sa economic indicators natin, dito sa profit, no? Okay, very important yung production management practices. Hindi lang siya technical, hindi lang siya on providing feeds, hindi lang siya on providing housing, hindi lang siya on providing water. It is an economic decision making. Kaya nga very important yung manager's daily decision flow na we have to strictly follow. Okay? Kasi konti lang na change ng FCR, like for example, 1.7 to 1.8. That's already konti lang, point something lang ang difference. Pero when you convert it into economics, mataas yung difference. No? So, feed cost creates larger changes in profit. Kasi nga, it's feed that accounts for 60 to 70% of the total production cost. No? So, very important na yung broiler production management practices ay hindi lang tungkol sa pag-aalaga ng birds, but it's more on management siya actually. Managing yung growth performance, no? So every decision, every management practice na gagawin ay that reflects the growth performance of the birds, their efficiency in converting the feeds na kinakain nila, and the profit that we gain from raising the birds. So hindi siya guessing, no? It should be scientific. We have to observe, measure, analyze, decide and correct, and then evaluate impact, no? So kaya siya yung animal science or kahit dito sa part na to, it's not just science, it's an art, it's technology, it's business. Okay, so that ends our discussion for the production management production management practices, particularly for broiler farms. And I hope you were able to take down notes. I hope you were able to participate in the computation, and I hope that you learned something from our discussion. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening.